Let's discuss a little about conclusion and recommendations. Okay, I feel that this is something that most people are troubled about while solving a case. It's not easy to get a hang of it, right? Uh, in this video, I won't share what exactly it has to be, but rather certain points that you can keep in mind while building a conclusion recommendation. Okay, so first point is about something which actually comes before you start concluding, right? So I've discussed this elsewhere also, but just to be complete, so let's say that you have done the analysis completely, it's done, and now it's time to give recommendation. Okay, so you figured production for a company was problematic, so your recommendations essentially would be around production, right? But before I do that, I try to take a minute from the interviewer to understand a missing point here, right? And the missing point is what exactly has the company done till now to change the situation. First of all, has they done anything, and if they have, what is it? It will allow you to structure your final recommendations better, because many of the things that you might want to recommend could be things that the company has already tried and realized that they don't work well, right? So it's useful to have this interim step to get a sense of the present scenario or what the company has already done to alleviate the problem. You might not always get time for this, but at least try to get time for this point. All right, so now when that is done, we'll move to the points around the conclusion. One thing is avoid waffling, right? So don't just keep talking. Make sure that every word that you use has some significant impact. Okay, there's no need to jargonize also, right? Overall your case should be jargon free except what is required, right? So here also avoid doing that and avoid waffling altogether. Lead with the answer. It's usually very important. So let's say that you have a market entry case, and the structure of that is, should the client enter or not, right? So you've done your analysis for half an hour and you find yet yes, it's a favorable situation and the client should consider entering this particular market. So while concluding this case, you could have two methods largely. You could first tell about your analysis and then say yes or no, or you could lead with a yes or no and then do the analysis. I prefer this one because it gives the interviewer more clarity about what you're going to say. So I would say, okay, yes, from the analysis that we have done, it seems like a good idea. Okay, and these are the points that help me add confidence to my assertion. Now, back it up with reasons only from the analysis, right? Uh, there might be a temptation, specifically if you come from a certain kind of background and your case is dealing with something that you have already done in the past. Avoid using those points. I would suggest that don't use them at all, but there are people who can smartly use their background, but it should not be the basis of your recommendation. Your basis of recommendation, the first three reasons for which you are saying a yes or a no, should essentially come from the analysis. Once the case is done at an informal level, right, you can just talk to the interviewer and talk about your own experience in the field, and only then try to use your previous knowledge. Okay, your previous knowledge can be helpful for you to structure the case, improve your drill speed, right, but it should not be the basis of a final recommendation, which should only come from the analysis. Typically you want to have 3 points to back something up. Okay, now this point about pending further analysis, right, this is something I do as almost a possible escape or an SOS inbuilt into my conclusion. Okay, so I understand that my conclusion is based on 20-25 minutes of analysis, whereas in the field it will be a rigorous 4 to 6 months analysis, maybe longer, right? So while presenting my case, I just say, okay, so yes, we should enter this market, and because of 1, 2, 3. However, we could do further analysis to get more confidence in our assertion, or pending further analysis, this is my final recommendation. All right. So this is something you can adopt, cannot adopt. It is something just I feel very useful. I feel is very useful to use. Cool. So a matrix format. All right. So this is something that I use to generate more points. So essentially I make a 2 cross 2 matrix. This is long term, this is short term, this is core, and this is peripheral. I'll just explain what I mean. So let's take this problem that I was dealing with. So there's a firm and it is making less profits than before, and your case is to increase the profit. You do the analysis and you figure out that the loss in profitability is essentially because of production, right? So production in this case is your core issue. So I will definitely have recommendations around production, how to turn that around in the long run and in the short run. However, my original objective is to increase profitability. It is not to turn around production, right? So if I want to have more recommendations, what I can do is I can look at the peripheral aspects of the company also. Maybe production was problematic, but distribution is not as efficient as it could be. So in this case, I use some peripheral elements, which again the analysis says that can be improved upon, and think of long term and short term for that peripheral element also. So this is just a neat way to develop more recommendations, and for consultants, presenting information in the form of a matrix or a more visual form is always useful. All right. So these are the main key points, and now this final point is essentially that is applicable throughout the case, but more so in the recommendation. It might just be the last word that you have with this particular interviewer, right? So you would want to be as crisp as possible. So that we've already covered with no waffling, right? You have to be correct. So essentially use your analysis, and then you have to be confident, right? Make sure there's a strong tone, the what I should say that right, and be confident. So just make sure that there is a very strong, confident approach to your recommendation. All right. I hope this helps you. Best of luck. Thank you.